Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2024 Honda Passport, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. Before we do that though, let's take a moment, just check this one out and make sure it's going to be right for you. So having a trailer hitch on a vehicle like the Passport makes a ton of sense. You know, these are really versatile SUVs, and having this back here is going to open up your opportunities. You know, whether you're trying to pull a trailer around, use an accessory, or even a little bit of both, this one's going to get the job done. There are a couple other hitches available for the Passport, and just to do a quick comparison to the CURT one that we have installed here today, when it comes to the eTrailer hitch, it's extremely similar to the CURT one here. I'd say the biggest difference is just going to have to do with the finish or how it looks. The CURT has a gloss black powder coat finish, while the eTrailer one has more of a matte black carbide style finish, which personally I think looks a little bit better. I think it matches the plastic trim exceptionally well, but that's just my personal opinion. You know, I think it's all dependent on your particular vehicle and kind of the look you're going after. And then there's a draw tight hitch too, which again, extremely similar. You know, it'll look pretty much the same, has more of a semi-gloss type finish, but the draw tight does offer a little bit higher capacities, which isn't a huge deal because the CURT and eTrailer one have really good weight ratings too. But if you're looking for something specifically that's a little more overbuilt, that draw tight option might be a good solution for you. As far as the fitment goes, the hitch is going to work with all the different submodels of the Passport, whether it be a base model, you know, one that's fully loaded, anything in between, even the Trail Sport Edition like we have here today. So regardless of what you got, you'll be in good shape there. And a lot of people also ask about the hands-free liftgate assist, if the hitch is going to interfere with it. And the answer is no. Unfortunately today our model doesn't come equipped with it, so I can't show you, but I've done a bunch of these in the past and never ran into any issues. You know, as long as you kick your foot to either side of that receiver tube opening, the rear hatch will open up like it should. The hitch is going to have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. That's a good thing, really common size, so a lot of accessories will work with it. It is going to use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. Keep in mind though, one doesn't come with the hitch. You need one, not a huge deal. Get it here at eTrailer. A lot of times too, if you end up buying a new accessory, they'll come with one. So something to look out for there. And as far as the safety chain openings go, they're a loop style, nice and thick, and large enough to allow us to use pretty much any size hook that our trailer might have on it. When it comes to the weight capacities, the hitch is going to give us some good numbers. Maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 750 pounds, which is the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. And with that, you should be able to use any size bike rack or cargo carrier, just to give you an example there. And for the maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 5,000 pounds, or the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. That is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have in or on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. What happens whenever you use that, it's going to keep your Honda and your trailer level whenever you're towing it down the road. That's pretty popular on campers and enclosed trailers, things of that nature. So if that's what you plan on doing, might be worth checking out. But when used with weight distribution, tongue weight remains the same at 750, but the trailer weight rating does increase to 6,000 pounds. Now with all that said, I do always like to recommend, never a bad idea just to grab your Passport's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your Honda can handle that amount of weight safely. We'll grab a couple of measurements now, and these will help us figure out what type of accessories will work the best. On our model, if you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be right at 16 inches. So for those of you pulling a trailer around, you know, you could use a ball mount that has a straight shank, or maybe even one with a very slight rise in it, an inch or something like that would probably work well in most scenarios. And if you have an accessory, really don't matter. You know, if it has a straight shank, that's fine. You'd have enough ground clearance. If you have one that has a rise in the shank, even better. Buy you a little bit more space back here. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 3 inches, which is really good. So you shouldn't run into too many issues here, but if need be, you can use that to help figure out exactly if any of those folding type accessories can be stored upright without hitting the back of your Honda. Other than that, I feel like this is a great hitch option. You know, I think it looks awesome on the back of the Passport. and will work out well in just about any scenario you find yourself in. So you really can't go too wrong. As far as the installation goes, extremely straightforward, really nothing to it at all. More or less, you lift the hitch up and bolt it in place. There's already nuts in the frame rail from the factory that you can utilize, and that's really all there is to it. So I will say probably the hardest part would be actually lifting it in place. It is quite heavy, so if you have a friend that can help you out, that'd make it easier for sure. But if this is something you don't even feel like messing with, or you plan on doing other stuff to the Passport at the same time, you can always use our dealer locator network, and that can help you find a shop in your neighborhood that can install the hitch for you. But if you're doing it yourself, hang around. We'll go ahead, pull into the garage, and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Passport, and we're going to be working on each one of our frame rails. From this point on, whatever we do to one side of our Honda, we're also going to do to the other side, because it'll be set up the exact same way. But if you look at the bottom of our frame rail, we're going to have 3 factory weld nuts, and that's what we're going to be using as attachment points. So what I like to recommend doing is cleaning these threads out. You can spray penetrating oil in there and take a tube brush, just kind of work it back and forth to get any potential debris out. And if your hardware is really difficult to thread in there, because these are just too, in too bad a shape, what you can always do is use what's called a tap. This is an M14 by 1.5 thread pitch, and if you were to thread these up in there, more or less they recut the threads and make them like brand new again. So that's always an option if that's something that you run into. As far as the hardware goes that we're going to use to secure the hitch, it's going to be the same for all of our attachment points. You're going to have a bolt and a conical tooth washer. You do want to make sure that the teeth on the washer are going to face up towards the hitch. And so when we're holding the hitch up here, these are just simply going to thread directly into those weld nuts. Definitely helps if you can have someone give you a hand with this part, as the hitch is pretty heavy. But what we're going to do is just raise it into position, line up the holes in the hitch with the weld nuts there, and we'll get all of our hardware started hand tight. Now that all the hardware is in place, we can come back with a 22mm socket and snug it all down. You do want to make sure that the hitch is centered as well, because you are able to slide it from side to side a little bit. So check that first. And I verified we are centered, so we'll go ahead and run these down. You want to make sure and come back with a torque wrench now and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. With all the bolts completely tightened down, that's all there is to it. And with that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver on our 2024 Honda Passport.